Alright, another charming draft physics presentation and such. Anyway, wrong microphone? Yeah, no, wrong camera. Anyway, yes, I'm talking to you. Okay, comments. Yeah, just charming as usual. Crap. No real argument. So again, I'm willing to do a live room with anyone who thinks he can embarrass me on physics, wants to challenge anything I've proposed, wants to defend the silly standard model bullshit. It's just so rotten. I mean, it's just going to be so much fun for me. So yeah, if you want to keep saying that you know better or all this other crap, then put up, or shut up, kind of thing. Fine. Defend your shit. You shit it. Now take responsibility for your shit and defend it. You're going to make crappy comments. Defend them. Be willing to defend them. Pussy shit. Okay. So, speaking of pussy shit, Cole Panecci. Dissident science buying subscribers is as much a fact as virtual photons are. Yes, I don't think virtual photons are a description of anything real. That's why they're virtual. They're not real. So they're a shit answer to a question. They're like saying the Invisible Man did it. It's a nothing answer. But you're wrong. Dissident Science did in fact buy subscribers. I think he even admits it in a video where he actually says, because it's some sort of Google thing, where you can enhance your visibility or it has some other name, but it's just buying sock accounts. And he bought some sock accounts, and in one day his subscriptions doubled. I think he bought 500 maybe, and it went from 500 to 1,000, or it might have been 1,000 to 2. I don't know what the thing was, but it was a substantial amount of subscriptions. Just a fact. Now, you're going to assert something different, but you have absolutely no evidence to argue with. You don't have Dissident Science making a denial of any kind. I mean, he knows these videos are made, so, nothing I say derogatory or making an accusation against him is something he misses. And he doesn't choose to say anything. So, I mean, clearly he is uprating his own videos, and clearly he did buy subscribers. Now, it's a thing Google allows you to do. It's not some sort of overt cheat, but it's frankly, it's like, it's like paying people to applaud at your comedy routine or something. It's just kind of bogus. Anyway, they're both imaginary projections. No, they're both facts, and you're just proving you're a deluded shit talker because you got nothing. I mean, the facts are so easily evidenced by just watching the videos of the period, my videos even. And the facts are laid out. There's just no argument to be made. Now that I think of it, for all the likes your videos gets, there aren't too many comments that support your content. Yes, the world is covered with religious kooks, and most of the people who haven't accepted the classical religious crap still accept some sort of religious crap. Most people believe in free will and all kinds of silly crap that's just silly crap. There's not much I can do about how you're fucking imbeciles. You're arrogant, obnoxious imbeciles. And I'm willing to prove it to you by having a live conversation where I demonstrate that you're a fucking imbecile. Because that's what you are. Okay, anyone beg to differ? Is there anybody that actually watches and supports this crap? And again, anybody who's what? One of the standard fucking douchebag morons walking the planet Earth. Again, I wouldn't have to fix this if you people weren't fucking idiots. It's the fact that you can't not make a mess of everything is why people have to show up now and then point out how this is a fucking mess you've made. Oh, idiots. idiot. Okay, what is your gripe about solar panels on roofs? Well, I've made it pretty clear. You waste 50% of the energy. That's a pretty substantial gripe, I think, because they are usually fixed in place to match the pitch of the roof, which isn't optimal. Yes, you wasting the electricity. Not only are you not pointing at the sun, you're not moving with the sun, which is really a waste. I mean, that's at least 20%. And you're doing this conversion with individual devices, okay, which all waste a certain percentage of the electricity because they're small devices. Now, if you did it with one device efficiently, you would lose less in the conversion process. So yes, you have redundant hardware, in terms of the conversion, which is rather expensive. Inverters aren't cheap, and they're not as efficient. So yeah, it's a huge waste. Plus all the labor wasted. Maybe up north the roofs are more steeply pitched, but there are lower pitched ones where there is little or no snow. It still doesn't matter. Yeah, that's better, but it costs almost nothing to move the panels. But again, they don't do that on individual roofs because then they have to have the panels they have to be away from the roof, and then there'd be problems with wind or some other bullshit. What is the alternative? Yes, I pointed it out. Some sort of solar farm. Yeah, that's exactly right. With movable panels. Yeah, that's exactly right. Sure, it would generate more, but then there is more loss via transmission. There's no extra loss via transmission because it would be local. But beyond that, it goes onto the grid. Okay, the energy has to be pumped into a grid somewhere. It has to be pumped back into the wires, and that means it goes to wherever the closest places are is where that energy goes. So it goes the shortest distance because it gets pumped back in the grid. Remember, it doesn't go to a power plant and then get converted and come back onto the grid or some kind of crap like that. It goes onto the grid on each individual house, which means when they're pumping back energy into the grid, basically one house is giving electricity to his neighbor. It's not going very far. And likewise, when you do it on a solar farm, the same effect. So the losses are minuscule. I mean, by the comparison, there's no the amount you're losing in all the little inefficient little inverters, more than outweighs the transmission losses. Just fuck you. I mean, it's a simple argument, and assholes just come to the defense of the crap. They do something, the human race does something stupid, dumping garbage in the ocean, and some asshole is going to defend it. A nuclear power plant melts down, and some asshole is going to defend. Well, yeah, it's totally appropriate to use cheap Chinese batteries for the backup generators and shit. Yeah, and put them lower than sea level so they get flooded. Yeah, it's perfectly rational. Fucking idiots. Alright, so then even the ones who aren't idiots have to defend crap for no good reason. Sure, you don't need lighter than air. Right. I'm not the one who proposed it, but why bother defending it then? Although it does look like an efficient option. It looks like something that you have to do more work to make that work. Because you have less parts to work with, less mechanics, less durable systems. You have to make everything light and fluffy and weak instead of strong, durable, and all that crap. So, bullshit. And again, it depends on whatever lighter than air means in most environments where there aren't any air anyway. I can't say whether or not we're using magnetically bound plasma-based cosmic ray shielding yet. You're not even getting the shielding argument. When you move something slow and you hit something, it has time to dissipate the energy over a larger region. So slow impact can spread. Fast impacts don't spread. They make little holes like bullets. Makes a little hole. It doesn't wobble a whole bunch of tissue. But if you hit something slow, if you push the energy in slowly, then you can press things down. You can spread the deformation over a much larger area, and it'll be less aggressive. Now the argument is any kind of shield you try to put in front of yourself at high velocity just isn't going to work. The shield can't dissipate the energy. The energy is going to go right through it. It's going to get to you. It's going to do the same thing. It's just once you get to certain energy levels, you have no hope of there being enough time to dissipate the energy, to spread it. So it won't work. It'll just go right through your magnetic field. I mean, magnetic fields will give you some cushioning, but again, against a high velocity, the force is like magnets. It'll push right into the other magnet, yes. But you can't stop the energy. All right. I know this is something, so we're talking about intergalactic travel at high speeds, and the point is there's just little tiny particles that are going to blow you up. They're going to go right through you like bullets. And so it ain't going to work. I know it's something being worked on. Yeah, well, there's lots of things being worked on. They're stupid. It is known that hydrogen-rich substances work well, but the extra mass could be a problem. Any mass is going to be a problem because you're going to blow a hole in it. Thus, the wire lattice approach to magnetically bind hydrogen plasma, again, doesn't matter what you're binding. If the energy can't spread, if it doesn't have enough time to spread, it can't work. It was brought up as part of a prior discussion as an example of the problems of interstellar travel. Fine, whatever. I'm just saying you're defending ideas that theoretically just are almost dead in the water. All right, Piro. This will be vacuous. You know what? You spend so much time straw manning the real Piro. So I played his entire video and responded to it. And somehow there's a straw man in there. I mean, this is just such bullshit. How could I construct this straw man when you're speaking your words? I don't talk over you like you did in my, when you played my video, you're talking over me when I'm still talking. I didn't do that to your video. So everybody heard every word you said. And yet you're saying I'm so clever that I fooled them all and they didn't hear what you said. They heard that I strawmanned it somehow. Somehow I made your words into some kind of different words. You're just such a fucking weak ass that you manifest. Okay, so this makes no sense. This is more, woo. You spend so much time strawmanning the real Piro that you manifested me. So what does that even mean? You've turned into exactly what I said you were, which is an idiot? Oh, okay. A la The Secret. Like I should even remember what the fuck The Secret was. It's like, what, Oprah philosophy. Please. Making you responsible for my suffering here on Earth. So thanks. So I'm supposed to understand any of that shit. No, I just can't do it. So I think I'll delete this crap over here too. This crap about dissident science. Yeah, fuck you. And we'll delete this. This is incomprehensible gibberish. Clever. He responds to his own comment, but this is a different Piro, it appears. Different icon. Let's see what this is. It appears to be the correct. So he's changed his icon to some other wooey object. How fascinating. Not. Oh, God, idiot. Idiot and idiot. Dumb and dumber. Alright, really though, this should be titled Puro Facts. So what facts are you asserting that are based on what evidence? So you think everything's entangled. You think a single photon is a wave, a spherical wave. A single photon is a spherical wave that somehow travels billions of light years through the universe, spherically waving through the whole universe, and then it lands in one tiny, tiny, tiny location and somewhere and hits an electron. You think that's a fact, proven fact. No reasonable person could deny the substantially non-existent evidence for this fact. No, I think you're a fucking idiot. Alright. Hello. I like you explaining that you like to fix what is broken. Okay, so this is the Ola guy. What is not correct? In a sense, please consider my current understanding of the free elementar forces as a challenge to your theory. It's not going to be a challenge to my theory. You're not going to explain how I'm incorrect in any way whatsoever, because you can't, and so you won't. So that's not what we're going to get. You're not going to challenge my theory. You're going to propose some other wackadoodle bullshit and oblige me to demonstrate how you're wrong. Okay, in my opinion, is not correct. It needs to be fixed. Sorry. Yeah, well, who cares? Why should I give a shit about your opinion? I mean, frankly, I'm just saying, I don't know you from nobody. You don't have any physics content on your channel, as far as I could tell. I think I looked at it. I'll go look. Yeah, just crap. Yeah, sorry, this is crap. My Polish friends, okay, whatever. Yeah, so there's nothing, and I'm supposed to be impressed and say, "Ooh, this guy thinks something needs to be fixed." Well, I'm not. Gravity. Let's see. Starts as gravity waves spewed in an atom. Okay, so, right away I'll still ask, where's the energy come from? So you're just doing the Jeff Yee thing. You think there's a bunch of little jellyfish in the universe, and they just keep pulsing somehow, making some kind of energy, and they're pulsing at some frequency that somehow we can't detect that gravity has a frequency. So, what the fuck are you talking about? It spreads over the perimeter of the atom, perimeter of the atom. What does that even mean? What? Draw a picture of it? What are you talking about? A magical wave goes across the atom. The atom's made of protons and electrons. I don't know exactly how it goes across something. You're an idiot. It is coherent, not incoherent, as Ken Wheeler. Coherent in which way? What does that even mean? The one wave is not many waves. It's one frequency, not 70 frequencies at the same time. What does that even mean in this context? I mean, this is such gibberish. Of course, again, this says nothing challenging anything I've proposed. There's one shred of evidence indicating I'm wrong about something. And this guy's not talking about evidence, just making declarations, unargued with any reasoning. That is why here's a bit of reasoning. That is why it resonates with gravity waves from other atoms. And where do we have any evidence of this resonating? That is why there is areas of different intensities of gravity waves. Where do we have any evidence of that either? The denser matter, the denser or stronger the magnified resonance of the gravity waves issued. Where do we have any evidence of any of this? Where's a physical experiment demonstrating whatever the fuck that is? How do you people do this crap? He writes all this crap and he's not going to have a shred of evidence for a single one of these silly declarations. Resonance of electron and proton can be configured. That means something also. And how do you configure it? With a configurizer. Okay. Well, This is why it's possible to completely cancel out gravity waves. Well, why don't you give me an experiment that demonstrates how you canceled gravity somewhere? You can't cancel it. Again, like the zero gravity argument between the moon and the earth. You're not canceling gravity. Yeah. You're just creating two forces that are equal and opposite. This manifests as gravity is on or off. You're stupid. This also implies that inertia is off and on. Inertia isn't even a real thing, okay? It just isn't. Nothing resists change. It just obligates you. When it's more little bits into something, it takes more energy to move it. There's no inertia. Yeah, it's just stupid. Understanding inertia is a feature of mass that can be defined as the matter stays in the current state of matter. No, it takes energy to move it, and the more matter there is, the more energy it'll take to move it, because you have to hit it with something called momentum. The momentum has to be put into it, just like a glass has to be filled with water. You can't fill a big glass with the amount of water you put in a little glass. It won't work. The glass resists the water. It resists being filled. I mean, it's a stupid concept to say because I put a little tiny bit of water, take an eyedropper and drop a little drop of water in, and then say, the inertia of the glass says I will not be filled. I resist being filled. No, it can't be filled until you fill it. Jeez, people are so fucking stupid. Alright. It means if static, it stays static, and extra forces need to make mass move. Yeah, duh, that's what I just said. So it doesn't have anything to do with staying static. It has to do with the fact that each little bit has to move. And to move it, you have to give it momentum. It has to absorb energy to do something energetic. Or make mass change direction of the movement. Well, that means nothing. Gibberish. Now important, gravity manifests as pull. So again, I've already been over this before, but pull how? How do you make a fucking pull out of elemental parts? How do you do it? So I put two things, one thing over here and one thing over here. Now how do I make this thing pull that thing? Pushing is easy. I'll spit at it. I'll throw a rock at it. I'll take a piece of myself and throw it. That makes sense. This idea that I'm going to do pull, fuck that. It ain't going to happen. Now, important. Gravity manifests as pull. This pull is induced within atom due to interaction with gravity waves. So that's just mush. Just couldn't be mushier mush. I mean, that's grits. It's, it's mashed potatoes. It's the consistency of the mush. It's just mush all the way down. Gravity waves are bent. Says you. Where's your evidence? Interaction of gravity waves with geometry of atoms causes the pull. Again, so some more just complete crap. The geometry of the atoms magically makes something pull something. Just crap from inside of each atom by the magical insider, the invisible insider man. And one atom pushes on the other atom. That is so 1 minute ago they're pulling and now they're pushing. That is why the sum of pulls of each atom final push the whole chunk of matter into ground and earth. Speaking of you standing on the ground. Well, none of that makes any sense, so you're an idiot. I probably should just stop reading this, right? This is just like smelling a kid's farts or something. Photon, when slowed down below the speed of light, hands over part of the energy to the medium which slows it down. I'm sorry. I mean, the photons don't slow down. They just travel a longer distance. There's a geometry inside of transparent substances, and we can actually watch the photon, in a sense, travel that geometry and successfully come out the other end with the same angular directional momentum. To its atomic structure, what takes the energy over. So this is just more gibberish. It doesn't. You're not saying anything. You're not describing anything physical here. This isn't physics. This is just made up talk. And part of the energy is turned into gravity waves again. Oh, what in waves of what? Made out of what? That is why gravitational field grows. Show me. Its magnitude intensity grows with each photon confined. More just rubbish. That is SIY, also pull induced in each atom grows. So this is just such crap. Anyway, well, let's do some electricity and be done with it. When the symmetry is broke, so again, he didn't argue any of my physics. He's just proposing his own wacky tinfoil hat made up shit, and then saying, "Look, I can say words and put them together. I can't cite an experiment anywhere. Can't cite any evidence for what I'm saying. I'll just say this shit. Gravity makes gravity, and then electricity makes electricity." Yeah. Am I doing physics? No, you're not. When the symmetry is broken, when it becomes unbalanced, it starts to radiate waves that work the same as gravity waves. Well, there's no gravity waves. Gravity, like everything else, is rays of force. Straight line rays of force, just like charge. They induce attraction to other atoms and molecules, which are not balanced, so more nonsense. So not balanced means you're neutral. Like, that makes any sense? It makes absolutely no sense. If there's a lack of energy to become balanced equals positive charge. Well, says you. Just complete meaningless shit. If there isn't excessive energy confined negative charge. That's why protons attract electrons. And attract them how? So again, more just nothing. No explanation of how the momentum is transferred, what obliges something to actually move, how it moves. Nothing. Just crap. Alright, so we're not going to bother with this shit. Magnetism, we'll read the first beginning. It'll be just crap. Magnetism is a specific atomic structure which you will not describe. So more just couldn't be more vague. I am explaining it by calling it a specific structure there. Don't you see how specific and detailed the structure is? Oh, that's right. I didn't give you any of those things called details. Which enables situation when electrons can travel through matter in a circle. It circulates. So again, what causes them to do this circular stuff? We know that, Newton's law is about, you have to have a force interact with something to stop it or to change its momentum. So you think things just go in a circle, and you don't need any force to push them into the circle. They just know, I do circle. I'm a bird, and I know how to do circles. I'm a human, I can know how to do this. Yeah. So, you think electrons are as complex as like humans, and they can do circles. Or they have complex aerodynamics or something. Ether dynamics. It's just such crap. And since it always spins when progressed forward, it creates a flow of energy perpendicular to the direction of the energy movement. And a flow made out of what, again? Just more crap. Oh, look, he's got toroid in here. God, you're a fucking idiot. Gravity is the premier force, so this is the conclusion, in the physical universe derived from vibrations of the energy confined in the toroidal geometry of the matter. And where is this toroid? And what is the matter made out of? And what's the toroid made out of? And how does the toroid know the toroid? Oh yeah, we won't explain any of that. Mechanism of gravity starts as gravity waves in one atom and ends as gravitational pull in another atom, which is just more bullshit. So it moves by the magical moving mechanism. There, I've explained it. The magical moving mechanism. Don't you know what that is? Mass, on its elemental level, tends to reach the status of being balanced in its symmetry and volume. Well, that just says just more useless shit. So thanks, but no thanks. Whatever. Hype your idiot theory on your own channel. Okay? I mean, really, frankly, it's really clear. You either defend conventional physics or you attack my physics by explaining how it's wrong. Not by proposing, no, gremlins did it. That's all you're saying here. You're not demonstrating anything. Again, not a single citation to a single fucking experiment. No facts, just assertions. Fuck you. Ola and such. Alright. Andreas Sylvia. Okay, this is strangely refreshing. Yeah, well. We'll see. It's a Ken Wheeler video. And to think I brought a ferrocell and a giant neodymium magnet. Yes, well, I bought a little bit of ferrofluid. And it's kind of expensive. But it does go a long way. But yeah, it doesn't take much to figure out how it's working. And then once you figure out what it's doing, you say, why would I build a bigger one? It's a toy. It's not doing reality. To be fair, it is a fun toy. Exactly. And the magnet made a great nail finder for my AstroTurf over the septic tank when I had to dig up the yard to have the septic tank cleaned. Oh, that's kind of irritating. I saw one dug up, and yeah, I didn't think they were as deep as they are, and as small as they are. Anyway, Ken lives in his own world. No, he lives in the same one we live in. He's, Ken is deluded. Okay, that's all. His brain is full of grandiose delusions of how saying toyroid means you've explained something. Wanting to be wise and feeling wise. Yes, it's a delusion. More power to him. Why? Why would you give more power to people talking shit? Like the world doesn't have enough shit talking. You don't think shit talking is what makes everything chaotic and broken in the first place? People pretending to know what they're talking about when they haven't done any of the hard work of watching hundreds of physics lectures and getting up to date on, the real mechanics. They just talk out of their asses. You think all that farting does the world any good at all? Well, it doesn't. It's all good. No, it isn't. Farts aren't good. They suck. Convincing people to avoid wasting too much of their valuable time listening to others' nonsense is also a noble pursuit. So I don't agree with that. Others' nonsense, it just means that, clearly there's no point in listening to, just like reading that guy's comment. No point in reading all of it, because you're just wasting your time because it's just gibberish. But there are places where people aren't talking gibberish. Apparently telling people that everything they've ever learned is either a lie or just plain wrong is a powerful way of positioning them to a download of a bunch of nonsense. I don't know what that means, but anyway. Cosmology seems to be the modern go to the battle of the mind. Seems to be the modern go-to for the battle of the mind. No, it seems like the silliest of the physics subjects. Maybe this is because there is always a position that cannot be proven wrong because it cannot be tested. Well, all of it is marginally testable. You can't, the fact is, the small stuff, you can't build small enough stuff to see the small stuff. You have to play with it in a subtle way. You can only play with it in it moved an electron way. You can only crash the cars into spring-loaded walls, and you just can't get much detail. How is it that the value of the information seems to lately be inversely proportional to its popularity? Uh, yeah, well, with whatever fence you're on, everybody can say that kind of stuff. But it is disappointing that people are just gullible, ignorant, and the more important word would be arrogant. I mean, they have this inflated capacity, in sense of their capacity, their competence. They think they've done enough, they have enough knowledge of the law to be lawyers, kind of thing. They think they're qualified to have opinions when they haven't really gone deep enough into any of the subjects they opine on. I almost said availability, but that is wrong. Solid scientific information is abundantly available. Well, there's lots of experiments, and each one provides something in terms of some kind of information you can do reasoning with. And clearly, conventional science chooses to mine that field of evidence and only pick out the parts that satisfy the conclusion they wish to support, and they ignore, which is unscientific, all the bits of information that say, wait a minute, that's probably not right. Sensationalist nonsense is just more popular enough that reliable information is drowned out on convenience platforms. Yeah, well, it's not just drowned out, it's not findable in some sense. I mean, so there's so many citations to evidence, experiments that were never even done, and they just pretend they know it as a fact because they pretend they did the experiment, they never did it. I mean, it's kind of funny that some of this stuff is testable. You just have to do the experiment that they don't do. For example, the experiment where you put the photographic plates perpendicular to the plane that your two slits are on, and see if you can detect any photons going at 98 or 99 degrees, because they should be there by their theory. To be fair, Ken Wheeler's demonstrations are not experiments. Well, they're certainly pseudo experiments. I mean, they're certainly they have many of the properties of an experiment. So not to say they're not experiments. They're not scientifically done experiments. They are demonstrations only with toys. Proper experiments have controls to test the underlying assumptions of the hypothesis being tested. Yes, certainly scientific experiments have to be done more meticulously. I don't know. Some experiments you can't really do controlled experiments, but you really do have to do them reliably. That is, you can't just throw something. You have to have a machine throw it or something else so you get a consistent amount of momentum in and all that crap. Without the proper controls, an experiment is little more than a stunt. I shamefully have resorted to propping up a demonstration as an experiment when contract money is on the line, with the full intention of completing the valid experiments with funding. What is Ken's excuse? I don't know, you do experiments? I guess we'll have to find out if he does experiments on his channel. It looks like he's just harassing a cat. That's all I see. But, maybe we need to go deeper. No, 5 subscribers, no content, so... anyway, but he's not a criminal. He's committing crimes against vocabulary, reasoning, logic, and intelligence. He's just another desperate soul trying to be a beacon of wisdom. Well, if you don't think that's a crime, impersonating a wise person, just as bad as impersonating a cop, in my opinion. He has no evil agenda. Well, I think he does. So I think it's evil when you have gas bag ideas. You're just spouting jargon, and it's jargon. Like I say, he knows the ferrocell. He knows the truth about the ferrocell. He knows the fact is that if I put one LED in, I get one little smiley, more frowny face of light. I guess it's a, I don't know if it's doing the half of the infinity thing, or I just don't remember, but it's just like bird wings, or it's, you know, it's a little, two little bumps of light. It's like one goes in this way and one comes out that way, okay, from the center. So it's one upside down circle and one, you know, that's it. And that's, so each light is producing exactly that. And that's why you get this spiral graph pattern. It's because you put lights all the way around, that's what you'll get. So there's one line of light for each LED. I mean, two if you count the two sides. He's just another brilliant idiot. More crap. There's nothing brilliant in it. He's just another scheming pretender. You know, pretending he's won the gold medal. Trying to make his own way with his intellect is his substitute for unrequited love. So give him a break. Yeah, well, there's no break. You can't give people breaks who are, you know, assassinating the very mechanism of justice. You know, they're trying to break the system of reward and punishment. There's scheming ways around the thing called having accountability. Right? He doesn't have any accountability. He claims he wins debates, but he never shows us winning a debate. And clearly he never debates anybody who's not dead. You know, I've tried reading Ken Wheeler's magnetism book. Yes, it's hard to do. Went through the damn thing a couple of times. Couldn't draw it out and translate it into a computer program. My usual go-to for understanding a problem. Translate into testable computer code. It was incomprehensible. Well, yeah, and it doesn't create any of the things you need it to create, which is this substantially strong force of magnetism. You know, it can't be created by a bunch of swirly shit. You can't, you know, you can't make it out of eddy currents. You know, it's just horse shit. Why is the speed of force, or the speed of light, so he's watched a couple, and this is all one Ken Wheeler video. Why is the speed of force, or the speed of light, something that you get to assume is fundamental? It's not assumed to be. It's every single piece of evidence demonstrates the consistency of this speed. And let's use it to insult others with. I don't know who he's talking to exactly. I don't know whether he's talking to a Ken comment or, but regardless, I'm just saying there's so many people that just say things that aren't true, right? I mean, Ken Wheeler says the light slows down and then speeds back up when it leaves, as if that's not a straw man of what physics says. I mean, physics doesn't think momentum just appears out of nothing, that the photon is being kicked out of the substance or some sort of bullshit like that. This type of thought deserves more attention. So that was the Feynman, one of the Feynman videos apparently. You know, where Feynman just fuck talking about the real evidence. Let's talk about something else. You know, let's just talk about a, like I said, the two-slit experiment, as if we don't know the one-slit experiment exists. J.J. Thomson was the discoverer of the electron. So, you think it really matters who discovers these things, especially past discoveries? I mean, some of them were so simple in some ways. I mean, they just weren't that sophisticated. It wasn't that hard to discover something because you almost fell over it. It was so obvious. He always maintained, so again, who cares? I mean, Tesla maintained a lot of wacky stuff. Einstein, maybe. I mean, certainly the spent space shit was nonsense. Where am I heading with this? But the fact that he was looking for a unifying theory implies that he didn't think bent space was the right answer. But yeah, Maxwell was an etherist. I mean, so what? You know, Newton believed in angels. So what? Okay, he always maintained the electron was not a particle. Well, who cares what he thought? He didn't have much evidence, okay, back then. When he discovered the electron, he didn't have a whole bunch of experiments demonstrating how electrons function. We do. And guess what? They function like a particle, douchebag. But was in fact a field. A field of what? So, let's put field in big words, and then we'll just pretend we know what a fucking field is. A field of what? Doing what? Made of what? He was correct then, and that claim is still correct today. Says fucking you with no fucking evidence to defend your fucking assertion. Only when he was offered fame, money, and a Nobel Prize much later in his life by his opposition to atomists did he change his mind reluctantly. Oh, so now you're you're paraphrasing for him. He was lying when he conceded. Oh yeah, all this new evidence sort of indicates, yeah, this thing is a clump. The corruption of the scientists won't change facts. And again, yes, and they won't change experiments, and they won't change the fact that you people are aggressively attacking in almost a malicious way not only the scientific method, but your obligation to support your reasoning with arguments. Okay, an atom is an electric field. That's just a declaration. What does that mean? A field of what? A field in what? How does that account for the charge phenomenon between protons and electrons? What's your evidence that there is no nucleus and that there are no electrons? The corruption of a scientist won't change facts. Okay, electric field. It does not require photons or neutrons or quarks. Well, they're all not in the same category. So to say it doesn't require protons is retarded. Electrons I'd put in the same. Now they're pretty much a certainty. And neutrons, that's more complex. And quarks are irrelevant. Okay, even if there were such a thing, they're irrelevant because they never exist. They never manifest until you break something that's really fundamentally elemental in its function, the proton. So it can't mean anything. And clearly the experiments demonstrating the quark's existence don't really demonstrate that. They just demonstrate that, well, protons, I can create the idea of converting the proton's mass into quantized energy, and I'll call it a quark. But really all it is the momentum of the proton realized over millions of experimental, individual things in the experiment. And so again, it's something that's just realized as an effect on mass, not any individual phenomenon. So yes, you can quantize anything's mass by creating a volume of it, and then because now you have at any one moment one of them sticking over the edge of your film kind of thing, and so you can break the energy into smaller bits. But you're not really doing that on an individual level, so it really isn't something that exists in individual protons. But anyway, but yes, that's junk physics, quarks. And anything else the idiot mathematical theorists of today can think up. Well, there was no thinking up the quark before they found the quark, so that's just horseshit. To keep their pathetic careers funded. Yeah, there's lots of bad physics, but protons, neutrons, and electrons aren't the bad physics part. So you're just plain stupid to think so. Those are the experiments that there's a ton of experiments for. The greatest minds who were in the original electric field theorists, Faraday, Tesla. So again, Tesla was a fucking lunatic pretty much. His physics was so wacky and stupid. The idiot Tesla thought that he was somehow going to transmit electricity to France through the atmosphere or the ground. He was going to, I don't even know how to describe it, it's so stupid. He was going to change the electrical potential of the entire Earth and be able to detect that or pick it up or glean it from some other location on Earth. It's just a stupid theory. Heaviside, Maxwell, and Steinmetz. I mean, the only way you could do it is you'd have to create a volume of disturbance in the Earth, like making some percentage of earthquake vibration get to another side of the Earth. I mean, it's just impractical. Like, I'm sitting in my chair, there could be an earthquake in China, and my chair will feel a tiny, tiny little thing. You can't transmit the energy. It spreads over the entire mass of the Earth. It's just so stupid for him to think there was some way I could make it all go to one place. I could put a bunch of energy in New Jersey, and somebody in France could just pull it out. Retarded. Give us our entire electric grid system. So again, more bullshit, like we weren't going to figure out electricity without these geniuses. Just a pile of horse shit. I mean, once they invented the generator, every 2 weeks they came up with some new way to make it better. I mean, Edison just started with, all right, let's just make it like the bell on a phone. That's really what he's doing. And so it's just, okay, let's just take this concept that we can move matter with magnets by turning them on and off. So he made a very crude version, and then so first it started off with just 2 poles, and you weren't even doing these sides, you were just doing horizontal. And then they figured out, oh, we can make it square. And then they figured out we can make it round. And and then they put governors on it. They can do all kinds of things. And all that was inevitable. If Joe didn't figure it out, Jim would have figured it out 3 days later. It's like the Wright brother thing. You think we weren't going to figure out how to fly, you idiot? I mean, you're such a dumbass. And all electronics that followed from their work. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. They invented the transistor? No, they didn't. Over 100 years ago. We owe them everything. It's just so stupid. We owe them nothing. They exploited. I mean, Tesla was trying to sell his death ray, idiot. Don't you know the real history? He kept soliciting, like even went to the Russians. He'd probably sell it to the Nazis if he could have. His ultimate peace ray. Yeah, fuck you. But today people put Einstein and Hawking on pedestals. Well, yeah, I think Hawking is kind of horseshit, but whatever. Incredibly, I mean, his personal story is kind of incredible. To live so long with ALS and, such a tough existence. Quite admirable to be doing physics at all. Like some demigods of science who couldn't hold a candle to their work or understanding of how the universe operates. Well, again, analyzed with any scrutiny, they all fall. And especially Tesla. I mean, just what a fraud. Minor contributions. So anyway, these people are just such idiots. These people. You people. Apparently. Apparently. I mean, yes, an awful lot of the comments are just these stupid cranks defending their woo. And that's unfortunate. That we don't even get people defending conventional physics. It's just all the tinfoil hatters out there. The ones who have been persuaded by the bullshit of a Ken Wheeler or the bullshit of a Tesla. I mean, Tesla was essentially a God botherer. He had no mature understanding of physical reality at all. I mean, it just wasn't, he wasn't a great thinker. So anyway, I think that's enough. Unfortunately, it's all there is. Nothing but woo. everywhere you turn. Conical pendulum. So yeah, I mean, Professor Lewin, just, it's all math. We don't give a shit about theory. You know, mechanics. We just like doing math problems. Alright, so this is all crap. Interview with the great Grampania, whatever that is. So again, more flat earther stuff. So these physicists are such gutless pieces of shit. I mean, all they can do is pick the low fruit. You know, the low, rotten fruit. You know, they got no guts to take on a real challenge. Flat Earth online science presentation is a disaster. Well, I think you're a disaster for thinking people. If basic bros did physics, well, isn't that sound like bizarre, elitist, weirdo bullshit? But anyway. So, that's about all there is. So, nothing to talk about. So, till the next time, and such, so forth and whatnot. All quite disappointing. So, I guess we'll end it by doing this thing instead of the keyboard, because I can't even get to my keyboard at the moment. And such. So, see you next time.